Welcome to the Kerrville Bible Church Pastors Podcast, where we seek to further equip you for the work of ministry by discussing a variety of biblical, theological, and practical topics. Stick around until the end of the episode to learn how you can submit a question for us to answer on the podcast. Welcome back to the Kerrville Bible Church Pastors Podcast. My name is Toby Baxley. I'm joined today by Chris McKnight, Murray Van Gundy. Scott is winging his way to the coast today. He and Matthew are on their way to the Shepherd's Conference in California.
The left coast.
Yeah, the left coast. Yes, I had nothing. Thought I had something to say, but I don't. But out to California for the Shepherd's Conference. This is Matthew's first time out there, so hope that it's a great trip for them. But we're going to carry on today and hopefully keep it short. We're going to try to keep this one short. I know you like the long ones, but we're trying to get to lunch. But we got time. We got
important lunch. So
it's an important
not
lunch.
Just a normal lunch.
Not
it's
just
important. That's why
36-minute podcast.
36
Yeah,
minutes
we're
starting
for noon.
Starting now.
All right.
So, I am very distractible, and I have a short attention span, and I know that I am not alone in the world with that, and so I want to talk today because we want to speak pastorally on this podcast to try to help in where you, our listeners, are struggling, and in how to navigate life. We want to train you in the gospel, in godliness, godly living, so that you are equipped for every good work. And I think we would agree, really, that part of that is some sort of time every day in the Word, in taking advantage of those means of grace that God gives us to know Him, to grow in our relationship with Him. But we are a distracted people. We live in a distracting age. There are things that are pulling at our attention all the time. And so how do we mitigate that? What are the issues? What's at stake? And how do we mitigate that and have some sort of time of devotion, discipleship when things are distracting us? As I'm talking, I'm thinking of discipleship is such a broad term. There are many things that distract us from discipleship, but I think it starts really with things that distract us from devotion, our daily time in the Word and prayer. So, what do you think?
When I was thinking about this, I was thinking how much of it is just our nature to wander, nature to be distracted. And so I was looking up that line in the hymn, "Prone to Wander." That's more of a physical wandering, but and so what came up was something from John Wesley in 1760. He wrote a sermon called "Wandering Thoughts." So I was thinking about, we think about our day and age and how there's just so many distractions, but it's also our nature to wonder, our minds wander. And so I looked up something because in 1760, right before Industrial Revolution or tech revolution, whatever else, was thinking about that. And so he wrote this sermon, "Wandering Thoughts," and I just want to read a little bit. So he said, "All our thoughts are naturally of this kind, for they're continually wandering from God. If we are now and then constrained to think of Him for a time, yet as we have not pleasure therein, nay, rather as these thoughts are not only insipid, but distasteful and irksome to us, we drive them out as soon as we can, and return to what we love to think of, so that the world and the things of the world, what we shall eat, what we shall drink, what we shall put on, what we shall see, what we shall hear, what we shall gain, how we shall please our senses or our imagination takes up all our time and engrosses all our thought. So think about that. 1760, somebody's sitting there in church, and this is what's going on in their mind, So how much more in our day and age are we prone to wander just in our thoughts,
Right.
And it's just almost overwhelming.
But nothing new under the sun.
Nothing new under the sun.
I mean,
It's a nature.
they sat in church wondering, what are we going to eat for lunch? And when's this sermon going to be over? And,
exactly.
And what's
so
the
I think
plan?
that it goes deep into just our sinful nature, our flesh, that we're not prone to think about God and prone to wonder about God and prone to meditate on the Word. And, we have to discipline ourselves to do that, which is kind of what you're talking about, Toby.
Yeah. What's at stake in this battle?
Everything.
Right.
Yeah. Your soul. Your perseverance in the faith. Your battle with sin. Your godliness. Your relationships. I mean, I'd say your relationship with God's at stake in a sense. I would say your relationship with other people is at stake. I mean, really, you could say because the world, it's the world, the flesh, and the devil. They've got their little trinkets and trash, their little shiny objects, their fool's gold, all the things that want to draw us away from fixing our eyes on Jesus. Don't want to be cliche, but it really, the aim of all three of the enemies of our soul is to get our eyes off Christ, right? To get our eyes onto poor and pathetic substitutes.
Fool's gold, I like
Fool's gold. Things that will promise satisfaction and pleasure and fulfillment and purpose and peace and joy and all these things, but they can't deliver.
Yeah.
Not eternally, not even lastingly on this earth. There is pleasure in sin for a season, Hebrews says, but that season runs out. So, yeah, I would say everything's at stake, and so you've got there's nothing new under the sun. This is part of just being human, and being fallen, and being in this world and having these enemies, and yet we are unique in that we are in the smartphone era, and we're in the tech era, and we're in the internet era, and so all of those challenges to me have just ramped up because of these phones that we're all sitting here right now at this table. We all have our phones in front of us. Mm-hmm. And I have found, I used to have laser focus. My whole life has been pretty much, a life of focus, discipline, structure. I can sit and pay attention to sermons for a long time. I can lock in on one-track mind, and I'm finding and I don't know if it's age or if it's this phone, and I think it's a combination of both, but I'm finding my attention span is getting shorter and shorter and weaker, and I'm more and more easily distracted, where this used to not be a problem for me at all, and I can feel it and I can see it, and it's every day. Just practically, it's a matter of whether I have my phone turned on or not, and whether I have it face up or not. And so just practical examples, and they're not bad things, they're not evil things. I'll sit down to start working on my sermon, and there'll be a family thread text, a video of our granddaughter, a picture of them at the park, whatever, and then multiple people need to respond to that posting.
Right.
And I'm here, ding, 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 and so it's like, I got to turn this thing off. I'm supposed to be getting ready. I'm trying to do a sermon here.
I'm in the Lord's Word.
I'm trying to do a sermon. So, I would say that's probably a majority example for most of us. It's not sinful things that are distracting us.
Right.
They're good things, but it's keeping us from the great.
Yeah.
A lot of good is keeping us from what's better and great. And so just for me, practically, it means turning off my phone and turning it face down. It means having my quiet time, my devotion, my prayer time early in the morning before any of that even starts. So it's getting up early. It's the very first thing I do after my morning walk, which includes prayer, is reading my Bible and pray, and trying to get those things done. My routine is those things are all done by 7:00, and then my goal is at 7 I'm released to go exercise, and then come back and get ready for the rest of the day. And so I find if I don't get them done before 7, there's going to be more and more increasing distractions starting at about 7 and forward, just in general.
So that sets you up for a more successful day, but then even in just the moment of being in prayer, moment of being in something godly, and then being distracted with your, the lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, boastful pride of life, or whatever it might be, And this sermon from Wesley was based on the verse in 2 Corinthians on take every thought captive, right, and make it obedient to Christ. And so how do we take every thought captive? How do we get into those? We practice the spiritual disciplines that you're talking about, Chris, but like some people, I think all of us can compartmentalize that, right? We got it done, and then now we're just going to go the next 23 hours of our day. Yeah. And so what do we do? What are some practical things of putting our phone away, or turning it upside down, or it not being the first thing that we look at? There's so many difficult things to do. And even without those, we didn't have smartphones, and our mind was prone to wander.
Yeah. I have an almost magnetic draw to turning this on first thing in the morning. I don't keep it by my bed, but I'll go get it.
Pavlov's, just kind of.
And I have knowingly taken a book and my phone to sit down with the intent of reading that book, and I'll say, well, I'm just going to check this first. Right. And I know full well that if I do that, I will not read that book. Yeah. 30 minutes are going to go by, and I will have just engaged my mind in the quick and easy dopamine hit that comes from this glowing little thing in my hand. And I hate it, and I know it's going to happen, and I do it anyway. And when you were talking, Chris, earlier, we're talking. This affects believers and non-believers alike. So this isn't, what's at stake is our relationship with the Lord for a non-believer, but also kind of that fellowship with the Lord for a believer. Right. Obviously, our relationship and our status before Him is secure and is kept secure by Christ, our high priest. But there is an enjoyment that we are missing out on. Like my former pastor used to say, we're leaving money on the table. We're leaving grace on the table when we give in to these other distractions. Right. And I'm as easily distracted with the phone as without it. I can't remember who said it, but when I'm in prayer, I can be distracted by a mosquito. I can be mosquito. Yeah. It's like, what in the world is that? And then my mind starts to wonder about, mosquitoes.
Does he have malaria?
And West Nile virus.
And then you stand up and start doing the light switch.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Does this mosquito have malaria? Wait a minute. Did I turn the light all the way off?
Hey, it's a slippery slope.
Hey, I had the thought last night that I might not have locked the front door. And you know what I did? I turned over and went to sleep. I didn't even go check it.
Good for you.
Yeah, it is a new day.
Yeah,
you live Baxley house.
You live through the night. Imagine
through the night. Live to tell about it.
So this is low hanging fruit, obviously.
Of course,
right? When we talk about distraction, but I was thinking about this. There's a lot more that distracts us we're passive. They're not our fault. For example, we're just coming out of February in the hill country. Allergies. Mm-hmm. When you're sneezing, your eyes are itching, and your nose is running, and you're stopped up. That's a distraction. That's hard to fight through. You feel run down. Try to have deep meditation on the Word of God when you're constantly sneezing and blowing your nose, right? Or hunger. Yeah. Hunger's a distraction. Being sick, being hurt. We got people in our church in that category.
It's never ending.
It's never ending. But these are things that we're not guilty of doing anything wrong.
Per se.
We're just human, and yet they come against us as distractions. And then there's the whole other side of the stuff we invite.
Right.
Like I will sit in my recliner, and I will be watching the Spurs game on the big screen. Mm-hmm. I'll be following the Astros game on my iPad, and then potentially, if I want to, I could follow a third game on my phone.
Yeah.
Because our internet thing allows us to stream three simultaneously.
Three screener.
So you go big screen, medium screen, little screen.
Little screen.
Just depending on the priority.
As needed.
As needed.
I don't know if I've done that yet, but I have definitely scrolled Facebook on my phone while watching a show on the TV.
Yeah.
And I just know for a fact that if I sit down to read my Bible or anything like that, I cannot have my phone anywhere near me. And now, I mean, I've got a watch that will buzz me too with phone calls and texts and emails that I can't even put it on until pretty much after I'm ready to walk out the door.
You know, we're talking about things that are relatively neutral, right? I mean, as far as sin's concerned, we're not even talking about like sinful thoughts,
right.
the lustful thoughts, those things that are coming in that just flood us at the most inopportune time. You're just like, what is wrong with me? How could this come in my head and my mind? And why did I even start thinking about that at this moment? You know, and it's just, and it just, and then, well, what's my behavior like through the day? What does my day look like? What does my week look like? What do I watch on these streaming things? What do I listen to? How do I spend my day? What do I consume myself with? What am I in love with, right? What is the affection of my heart truly? And then you add in you put this on there, Toby, I think, laziness and apathy, and you put in like just exhaustion. You're just tired, and it's like, I've been running this race for so long, like I deserve a break, you know? And it's just, right, it's just this, it's like, talk about wanting the Lord to come back, right? Yes. It's like, gosh, like this is exhausting.
Yeah.
And then the guilt that comes from that, the shame that comes from, man, I'm not even doing anything productive, or at best not doing something productive, at worst like sinful, you know.
Yeah, or what's wrong with me that I'm praying and all of a sudden had this horrifically blasphemous, lustful thought come through my mind, and
like, where in the world, what is going on?
You guys struggle with that too? Huh?
Oh, I've heard about it.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, you know, talking about this, it's not always the sinful things. It's the neutral things, and maybe even good things. It reminds me of a Piper quote that I've probably read before, but he said, the greatest enemy for God is not poison, but apple pie. It's not the banquet of the wicked that dulls our appetite for the banquet of heaven, but endless nibbling at the table of the world. It's not the X-rated video, but the prime time drivel of triviality that we drink in every night. The greatest adversary of love to God is not his enemies, but his gifts. And the most deadly appetites are not for the poison of evil, but for the simple pleasures of earth. For when these replace an appetite for God himself, the idolatry is scarcely recognizable. These are not evil in themselves. They're not vices. They're gifts of God. They are your basic meat and potatoes and coffee and gardening and reading and decorating and traveling and investing and TV watching and internet surfing. Shopping and exercising and collecting and talking, and all of them can become deadly substitutes for God.
Mm-hmm.
So, So it's not pornography.
Right. I mean, it could be Facebook. Right, pornography. But then when you've been liberated from that, then you almost justify looking at something that's not that as, well, I'm not doing that.
At least I'm not.
Yeah, at least I'm not doing that, which is good. I mean, that is a victory, right? On if we had to do a spectrum and a scale. But it's just, and that's why it's like never ending. You know, I remember when I first got saved, there was an obvious change, right? There was an obvious physical, behavioral change that was so easy to recognize. And then through 28 years or whatever it's been, is like, the big ones are not even, it's the inside, right? It's the turmoil in my own mind and the distractions of my own mind and the lie of laziness and complacency, you know, that I tell myself.
I think, Chris, you said it in maybe a membership interview I've heard you say it before, that when you got saved, God put his finger on three big sins. Right. In your life, big obvious sins,
right?
And then the farther you've gone with Christ, those sins have become more like it's like now God's putting his finger on the sin beneath the sin.
That's right.
Getting those root level sins. And now now we're getting into your pride. Now we're getting into your heart's motivations
your
and
idols.
every little thing, every little thought that and desire that you maybe have out of place.
Right.
The thing people think that like the more we walk with the Lord, the easier life gets. The easier we should be dealing with sin. It's like, no, I think we're actually more sensitive to sin. And so I think the farther a Christian goes with the Lord, the more wretched he or she feels like they really truly are.
If it's a path and a journey, is it like it gets steeper the closer we get to home? We're climbing a mountain, right?
Yeah. We haven't hit the peak.
We haven't hit the peak.
Above
And
14,000
it's actually
yet.
it's getting steeper and steeper, and
But
eventually we're going to be vertical.
You can see the top, and you're like, oh, shoot.
Eventually it's vertical, and
You're
we're like,
crawling on your hands and knees, clawing, right?
It's Mount Everest.
It's Paul saying at the end of his life, I'm the worst of all sinners, where, first is like, I'm the least of the apostles. It's like as you get closer to the light, you see the small little specks. When you're living in the dark corner, and there's a little bit of light, you're like, oh, shoot. But as you get exposed to more light, the more you go, oh, look at that little tiny thing that I didn't notice, you know?
So I was sitting here thinking of a test for us to think about, a real practical test of how distracted we truly are. Could you, with no screens, no electronics whatsoever, no phone, no pad, no anything, go into a room, close a door, and sit down with your Bible or even, say, a Christian book and read/pray/meditate for a solid hour? I mean, again, not trying to put anybody under the law. This is not going to earn favor with God or whatever, but just be a test of how distracted we are. Because I was thinking of your example. You got the book, you got the phone. And so could you put that away, put it on silent, go into a bedroom, get in a chair, and literally focus and read and concentrate for 1 hour? And I would say most of us couldn't do it.
How would I know how long the hour was?
It would be an eternity.
Long time.
Well, you could have a clock on the wall.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
timer.
get that thing
Get
off
the
your
watch
wrist.
off.
Yeah, don't put that.
The smartwatch is buzzing. and
So
everything
I'm
else,
describing no access to the
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah.
No
Nothing.
access to
Nothing.
anything.
Just a
And
closet.
maybe you're
Yeah.
off maybe you go off on a hike somewhere. You're in the middle of nowhere. And
Maybe
you have
not
your-
even that, though,
you have
because
your
then
Bible,
you've got-
but you got a book that
Yeah.
doesn't. It's not connected to the internet, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just pages, and to sit there and pray, think, meditate, read. I'm telling you, for all of us, basically, at
It
this
would be a
point,
struggle.
it would seem so long.
so
It
long.
would seem like
long.
half a day.
At Coronado Baptist, they had a prayer room. Nice little prayer room. Is one of the closets kind of in the back that they turned into a prayer room, and had a book with prayer requests and things you could do, and so it was carpeted, all the way to the ceiling, and it was, comfortable, and it had its own access. You could go, you just need to know the code to get in from the side. And a lot of like people who we would consider like prayer warriors, like they use that thing on a regular basis, So I'm convicted one period of time where I need to start, I need to do this once a week and go, but I didn't take my Bible, so just to go pray for 30 minutes was so hard. Right. So at least if you had a book, you could kind of consume yourself. And we've talked about that. I think Scott mentioned it in his testimony on Wednesday night, was just how hard it is to pray. Oh my gosh. Like at least get to read, right? That helps. Like at least I have something, but like you're saying, a great test. Could you do it for an hour? Wow. Whew.
Yeah.
With the silence.
But in contrast, how many hours can we sit in front of the TV and watch documentaries, Netflix,
doom scroll? You don't even know what doom scrolling is.
3-hour football game. That's really 60 minutes of the game and 2 hours of all the other commercials and halftime.
Right. I've watched the whole game without moving off the couch.
Oh, for sure.
3 hours.
For sure.
I just look up and think, I have not moved in 3 hours. When's the next game start?
I preached a long sermon Sunday, way longer than I'm in it for. It was a solid hour.
Was it an hour?
Yeah, it was. We were done. We went from 10:30 to 12, and And I'm thinking, I'm sure it felt long for a lot of people. It felt long to me. I mean, I felt myself like I'm caught in this black hole I can't get out of.
Point 3 is over there, and I've got 5 minutes.
There was 5 minutes
there's no
left.
Way he's had, okay, there's no way he's hitting point 3. He said, okay, point 3. I was like, oh, shoot.
And he's still giving cross-references. I'm like, we're not singing a closing song.
I said, let's see if Toby picked up on that. He's not going to sing a song.
Okay, but we will set in a concert. We'll set in something that's the game,
sure.
the baseball game, the basketball, whatever.
3-hour baseball game,
and think nothing of it.
Game, whatever,
and don't even care if it goes to overtime.
That's right. Yeah, look forward to it.
The only reason I cared was that I was communicating with people like I don't think we're singing a closing song today.
Exactly.
Well,
so I'm glad you were sensitive
we
to
anticipated. We said we'd play it by ear.
Yeah, but when you got up at 11, I thought, hey, we have a shot at this.
We're in good shape.
We actually have a shot.
No, we weren't in good shape.
Yeah, I had to tell. So we start our mission training at 12:30, and for every minute you're late, so you can go run and grab lunch. But every minute you're late, it's $1, right?
Okay.
So I had to extend it 5 minutes. I said, "Hey, Chris was a little long-winded today. You guys have an extra 5 minutes to get to the youth room." I asked a girl, a teenager, this last week. I said, "Hey, how much time do you think you doom scroll? Like when you check your thing, when you look at what is it your
screen time out?
Your screen time. When you look at your screen time, you can see actually how much time." She said sometimes like 7 or 8 hours a day.
Oh,
yeah, without even batting an eye. And she's a good girl and everything, but without even not even skipping a beat.
Yeah, I get a weekly report of how much I use my phone during the week, and I basically judge myself based on what that number says. You use your phone an hour and a half less than last week. Like, yeah, but I was on there for like 45 hours last week. That's an hour and a half is not a whole lot. All right, so we have 11 minutes, 10, 11 minutes. Practically speaking, what are we doing? Because we realize that, like it or not, you are being discipled by what you are spending time thinking about. And if it's doom scrolling, if it's Facebook, social media, you're being discipled here by what you're consumed with, time wise. And we don't want to be conformed. I was just looking at Romans 12. We don't want to be conformed to the pattern of the world. You don't want to be squeezed into the world's values, but we want to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. So practically speaking, what do we do?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're not going to get rid of phones. It's just isn't going to happen.
No.
You're not going to. You can delay it with your kids, and praise God, the families that are able to hold off as long as possible. But it's inevitable. It's going to come, right? I mean, unless we just go live in an Amish community, and we just and that presents a whole nother set of problems, right?
Yeah,
so it's like you're not going to get rid of them. So for us, like we're going on this mission trip, and the ones we've been on. I'll take the phones away when we get there, and they won't have a phone for 5 days, and they love it. They absolutely love it. Now, as soon as they have them back in their hand, they get right back on, of course, and so it's almost inevitable. But they really love taking that break. It's like there's a liberty in it, a freedom, a relief from the pressure, especially young people, of the social media and the status and the likes and all that. Right? It's this like. I got to be a kid again or something, So I think we need to somehow integrate into our day or our lives or our week something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Where we have a behavior modification to put it down, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, I think if we want to be as practical and as real as possible, it's a self-imposed exile from our phones. Mm-hmm. That it can't be forced on you, because as soon as somebody else, I mean, you can. This is a unique situation, but as soon as adults, as soon as somebody tries to do that to us, we're gonna buck up against it. So it's got to be a self-imposed exile. And for example, I ran into you down at the river the other day, and you had said you had forgotten your phone, and so you're out in a kayak in the water. You don't have your phone. And how good is that for your soul? How good is that for your mind? How good is that for your body? I'm on my bike, and I used to not take my phone, but now I take my phone and play it so that people know I'm coming, because people don't know where to walk on the river trail, and it's very annoying, and you almost run over people.
You just play bell sounds?
No, well, I got a bell too. I got the bell.
I heard him. I saw. I was like, I
got the bell. I got my phone turned up as loud as it goes, but it's in my pocket. I need something mounted up on my bike. But anyway, I think just a self-imposed exile. Go on a walk. Get outside. Get in. Garden. Get your hands into dirt. Get away from the phone and into creation, and leave it at home, and feel the freedom of what you're talking about, and have those times throughout the day.
Right. I think just backing up even from that is to realize that unless you're in some sort of life-saving profession, you're not that important. You don't need to be on call all the time, 24 hours a day, because really what we're trying to do is we're trying to usurp God's omnipresence. We're trying to be everywhere at once. And we're trying to usurp God's omniscience. We want to know what's going on in the world. Right. And we're not actually made to consume news of the world. I can't remember where I heard that, but humans are not made to consume news of the world. Right. We got to be local.
The connectivity is the lie and the problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
And preach it. You're all over exactly. The problem is we overestimate that there's going to be all these emergencies when there are very few true emergencies in life, and we're not a doctor on call. We're not the surgeon for the ER on call. And so. Let people turn to God first. Right. Let people pray first. Let people, they'll get, it's even like, what could I even do on the other end of a phone if you've got a true emergency?
Right.
If you're in a wreck an hour away, what can I really do? Nothing.
Yeah, right. When you call your doctor,
why are you calling
and
me?
Get the voice call. It says, "If this is an emergency, hang up and dial 911. We can't help you, even though we're your doctor."
Let me tell you though, if you do dial 911, it's going to cost you about $8,000. So just be prepared. Just be prepared.
So I think, what's a practical thing though? Because we know the big picture. We know what to do, but how to do it? Could we challenge ourselves and challenge people? Hey, take a Sabbath. Take a Sabbath rest from your phone 1 day a week, right? Can we challenge people? What is it to challenge? And you said it. It's got to be self-imposed, Chris. Right. You're exactly right. I'm going to fast from technology for a day, 1 day a week. I'm going to fast from it. Yeah. But as a church, could we do something? Hey, we're going to have a day of rest from our technology. Whoever, we're all doing it. The 9 elders have said, hey, we're going to, I don't know, as
a Saturday or something.
As a motivation, right? To get people to, and then get to come back and say, well, what was it like? What was it like to do that? What was it? I don't know.
Couple of books I think they're helpful were like The Common Rule by Justin Earley. He said that he makes it a rule not to look at his phone until after he's been in the Bible for the day. So leave it. Don't
take it with you to your Bible reading,
and don't read the Bible
That's
on
what Charlie
your
Kirk
phone.
Said. Yeah, he said, do not use
your
phone.
Get a Bible, because those apps are not just focused because you're going to get notifications of all these things.
Yeah,
and so just leave it aside. We get a real Bible. That in itself has its own value, because then you kind of develop, like John MacArthur said, you kind of develop a relationship with the text, and this there was this verse that I was looking for, and it was on the right hand side in the second column halfway down.
You start to
know you start to know the Bible based on where that verse is. So leave your phone aside. I'm the worst at this, but I'm gonna challenge myself even to do better at that for till I stop. But my desire is to be wise about this. But then the other book that we did a little brown bag thing on was like the Tech Wise family, and he advocated that an hour a day you put it aside where you can't hear it or see it, interact with it at all for 1 hour a day, 1 day a week. So Saturday, Sunday, if you can just put that phone aside for a whole day and then 1 week out of the year.
Wow.
A whole week out of the year. That's the hardest part, I think, for me to do.
So I read my Bible off my iPad. There are no notifications, and I'm before. If I get an email, it's not going to tell me. Nothing. No ESPN app doesn't notify me. And here would be and I agree with you. Get to know your Bible and where things are, but here's the other side of it. As your eyes dim, you got something backlit. I can see so much better with my iPad, and I can change the font as wanted.
I do like my Kindle for that reason.
Yeah, and so but I don't have any notifications turned on. I'm before. I can leave my phone in the bedroom, go to my office with my iPad, and literally there's never any interruption.
Yeah.
Now they are there. The temptation's there. I can check email. I could check apps that's sitting right there in front of me. So there is that.
But like a Kindle's just plain
just
script.
text.
Yeah. So there's that. But the spirit of that for sure. And an hour a day, a week, a day,
an hour
a week.
a day a week, a week a year.
Yeah. Yeah, the week a year would just have. I mean, for me, you would have to go somewhere where it doesn't have internet access.
Right.
Well, and you have to be, like so.
in the mountains
let's say we were going to challenge families to do an hour a day, right? You have a basket there in your kitchen. Everybody, this is the hour. Everybody, throw your phone, right? It's still, and certainly parents are parents over their teenagers. They still are the authority. I get that. So I think for it not to become legalistic, like how as a family, so mom and dad could start, right? Mom and dad look at each other, they hear this podcast, they go, you know what, let's do it. And mom says yes, dad says yes, we agree. Hey, let's do this. And let's just encourage her because this is what we're doing. If they're teenagers, older teenagers, this is what we're doing. Join us if you want, distract. And then begin to maybe start to see it, right? Start to implement it. And then, because 1 hour, that's very possible. That's not a big deal, right? And then you go for a whole day. It's going to be a little more difficult, but what does that look like? And here's, we've tried it. And
what can we do instead? I mean, it's always the putting off, putting on. So we got to have better things instead. And so for the hour, let's play a game together as a family. Let's read something. Let's read Pilgrim's Progress out loud together. Let's read something. Or if it's a day, hey, let's go somewhere and do something fun as a family. Let's go on a hike. Let's go get in the water somewhere, whatever. And so you got to replace it with something that's better.
I can't hike without my phone. I might get lost. I gotta find my
stay on the trail.
Put a waypoint where my van is, because that's the best sight on the hike is when you find your car.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, finally, just to know this, that you are not earning God's favor with this at all. We don't do this to earn God's favor. We earn it because we have it. We earn it we do this because we have God's favor, and we want to do this to enjoy all that he has for us, and not leave money on the table, not leave grace on the table. Anyway, I hope that's encouraging to you, and that it'll be giving you something to think about and maybe implement to minimize those distractions in your life. And I'm going to pray, and we'll see you next week. Father in heaven, Lord, you are so gracious and kind to us. I pray that as we think about your grace and kindness, we would just slow down and let our hearts truly engage with your word and truly engage with your person through your word in prayer and Bible study, and put aside those distractions that are so easily tripping us up, causing us to wander in our minds, and sometimes wander off physically too to pursue something else. But may we just put aside those distractions and sit with your word and breathe, just take it in and breathe out in prayer, and see our lives growing in godliness and just the enjoyment of your grace and kindness that you have poured out on us in Jesus. It's his name we pray. Amen. Thanks for listening to the Kerrville Bible Church Pastors Podcast. We want to be a resource for you and answer the questions that are on your mind. Please send them to us via email at questions@kerrvillebiblechurch.org, or call or text us at 830-321-0349.